Sharp sell-off in the US equities on Friday over economic concerns and fears around the discovery of a new virus in China drag Indian stocks lower. IT, telecom and metals are the big drags. Midcaps too feel the heat. Come March 28th, Zomato and Jio Financial Services will enter the benchmark Nifty index, replacing Bharat Petroleum and Britannia. The RBI releases draft rules to scrap charges for foreclosure of floating rate loans by individuals and micro and small enterprises. This move, if implemented, can impact the incomes of several NBFCs. RBI has called for comments on the norms by March 21st. The Reserve Bank also set to inject 87,000 crore rupees next week through its $10 billion forex swap program. However, the SBI chief economic advisor says liquidity will remain in deficit given cash withdrawals for Mahakumbh and the RBI dollar sales. The central bank will have to do a lot more to make liquidity boosting steps. Hello and welcome. You're watching us here on Business Lunch. We're coming to you live from the CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal studio. I'm Mangalam Balu. Let's talk about the markets itself. There has been weakness, no two ways about that. Overnight weakness on Wall Street from Friday, worries around growth in the US, along with some fears around, a new strain of the virus which has been discovered in China, though nothing really to worry about as per experts right now, has caused some flutters in the market. And it's not that it was, doing great or going great guns before that as well. So the weakness has only been increased. The Nifty is down about 220 points. The Nifty Bank down by 0.75%. If you look at the broader markets, you have only one stock advancing for three stocks which are declining, and that's telling you that there has been some weakness. Though this is the expiry week, and from the lower end of the trading range, we've seen some recovery in the mid-cap and small-cap end of things. So let's see whether 22,500, after breaking the long holding support of 22,700 to 22,800, holds out for the frontline index or not. But the Indian market, which has corrected significantly from its peak, are we due for a bounce from those levels itself or not? We have Hormaz joining in with, what brokerages like Jefferies and CLSA have to say on India in particular. Hormaz.
Interesting note coming in from both Jefferies and CLSA. Now, Jefferies is mentioning that they are anticipating a short-term bounce to come in for the indices, especially because the Nifty is down 13% from its peak. The broader markets are down well over 20%. And they have highlighted reasons as to why they are expecting that bounce. Now, one being the fact that Nifty valuations after this fall are closer to their long-term averages. Now, the market has also discounted almost every possible positive news, be it the easing from the RBI, the rate cut, the income tax cut announced in the union budget. All of them have been ignored by the market and they've continued to move downwards. The economic activity is already picking up, and all of that combined with reasonable valuations that are now prevalent post this market fall is what is prompting Jefferies to believe that there is a short-term bounce in the offing. Now, they have screened a lot of their stocks under their coverage with some criteria, and criteria being that they're trading below their long-term average, the growth visibility having a 14% EPS growth potential, and minimal downgrades in the last 2 quarters being less than 5%. So there are stocks that have met all three parameters, and based on this, they have highlighted some of them being Voltas, Crompton, Apollo Hospitals, Adani Ports, HDFC AMC, Shriram Finance, Home First Finance, Aptus, and Sirma SGS. Now, this is what Jefferies had to say. Now, CLSA is saying that the third quarter was better than expected, but the EPS, the consensus EPS downgrades remain a cause of concern for them. And among the stocks within their universe, 63% of them saw earnings downgrades for FY26 and only 18% saw upgrades. Now, based on this, they have upgraded 5 names to hold from underperform. They include the likes of Voltas, Tata Steel, Indian Oil, BPCL, and Oil India. They have also upgraded stocks like Escorts Kubota, Dalmia Bharat, Aurobindo, TCS, Wipro, Godrej Properties to an outperform rating from the earlier rating of hold. They have double upgraded Bajaj Auto to an outperform rating from an underperform rating, and they have downgraded stocks like GSPL and Dr. Reddy. So these are some of the names that brokerages are advising to keep on your radar, and Jefferies is anticipating a short-term bounce.
All right, a short-term bounce, whether that comes by or not, something we'll have to keep an eye out on. For the Nifty to not close in the red for the month of February, it has to rally over 600 points in the next 2 trading sessions itself, largely because Wednesday is a trading holiday. So we'll keep an eye out on the markets, though there is some recovery from the lows on a couple of these mid-caps. CG Power, for instance, is up around 1.5%. Berger Paints has recovered about 3% from lows as well. But let's move on. Let's talk about the RBI. On Friday, it announced that it will inject liquidity through a $10 billion buy-sell swap. Lata is here to explain how this buy-sell swap for $10 billion works. Lata.
Well, what it basically means is the Reserve Bank is going to buy $10 billion on March 4th. When you buy, $1 is 87 rupees. So you're pushing in 87,000 crores of rupees into the system. Now, you don't want to buy dollars when there's already so much of dollar demand. So immediately they do a back-to-back sell-buy swap. So the dollars are bought and they are sold, and that will be bought back 3 years later, March of 2028. Now, you'd wonder who would be the counterparty who is ready to supply to the Reserve Bank, to take from the Reserve Bank now. The Reserve Bank is doing a sell now and a buy later. A lot of, last time when the Reserve Bank did, Reliance was one of the counterparties. A large number of large companies want dollars now, probably for some 5G equipment or whatever. 3 years later, they are in a good position to sell. It's hedged for them, hedged for RBI. So this is a transaction that is neutral as far as the Reserve Bank is concerned on the dollar FX reserves they hold. But it has managed to push in 87,000 crores without disturbing any other parameter. So it's a great way. The reason why it was wanted is the expectation is 1 trillion, around 1 trillion rupees or 1 lakh crore will go out of the system in March, from now to March 31. One would be you and I withdraw cash. Two, every time you give a loan or a deposit, you have to keep 4 rupees, 4% as cash, cash CRR. So you take out cash for that reason. And March is a very big month for giving loans. It's a high activity month. And thirdly, of course, the Reserve Bank will continue to intervene in the market. There is an expectation that the intervention will be less because the dollar appears to have peaked off. But nevertheless, if you put the whole thing together, 1 trillion has to be replaced. Mind you, this doesn't replace the cash that will go out of the banking system for advance taxes. That's a large amount of money, several lakh crores. That's not replaced by anything long-term like 3 years because the government will spend it come April 1st, salaries, contracts. Even the government spends a lot in March because contracts have to be closed. So that deficit is met by 1 day, 2 day, 5 day, 1 week repos. For that, you don't use a swap, a 3-year swap that. The liquidity deficit here today, gone tomorrow is expected to continue till May. In May, the Reserve Bank is expected to give a huge dividend to the government. Estimates are, going by the amount of dollars they've sold, something like 2.5 lakh to 3 lakh crore. Then I think the liquidity deficit will finally end.
All right, that explains it all, Lata. Thank you so much for that. With that, we'll take a short break. Come back on the other side. We'll speak about Prime Minister Modi inaugurating the Madhya Pradesh Global Investors Summit, hailing investment opportunities in the state. More on this story after the break. Welcome back. A couple of two-wheelers are doing well. You have Eicher Motors, which has moved to the high point of trade. It's a recovery of a good 2.5–3% from the lows. This morning, we had Gautam Duggar join us on our channel. He said that after the correction, a stock like Trent looks good as well. In an otherwise weak market where FMCG stocks are doing well, consumer discretionary as well in the form of Trent has come up. Trent has mildly moved into the green after sitting in the red. Remember, the stock has seen a big correction already from the highs. And Varun Beverages, that's the one that continues to do well, currently at the high point of trade, a good recovery of 5% from the lows on that stock as well. But the insurance companies, which are in focus, as insurers have reacted to the government's indications that the free lock-in period for insurers must be increased from a 1-month period to a 1-year period. What does this mean for the industry and what is their feedback? Yash has been speaking to sources from the industry itself on that. And Yash, what is it that the industry is making of this?
Well, very quickly, Mangalam, it was just last week when the government had indicated that they plan to ask private insurance companies to increase the free look period from the current 1 month to about 1 year. What is a free look period? Essentially, it's the period within which if you return any kind of policy to the insurance company, then the insurance company would be liable to return you the entire premium that you paid for that 1 year without charging any surrender charges. We've been speaking to life and health insurance companies, the two segments which could be most impacted. Speaking about life insurance industry first, the industry has been of the view so far that even if the free look period is increased from 1 month to about 1 year, it won't have a significant impact on them. That is because of two reasons. One, life insurance is a very serious contract between a policyholder and an insurance company, and the possibility of someone trying to game the system with a product like life insurance would be very, very low. Second point is that in case if someone does that also, we already have higher surrender value which came into place just a few months ago. And if the insurer has to return the entire premium, then the margin of error over the higher surrender value would be just about 17 rupees on a 100 rupee premium which has been collected. That too on a segment which is very low in terms of expectations who would want to do something like this. General insurance is where it could have a larger impact because insurance companies feel there could be policyholders who could return a policy, buy a new policy, take claim and then return a policy, buy a new policy, or even distributors could sell, mis-sell, force-sell policies just to earn that commission on the distribution of this policy, and the policy could be cancelled. So that could be a bigger impact. Of course, all these companies, health insurance companies, life insurance companies, expected to submit some safeguard measures with the regulator if this regulation indeed comes through.
All right, Yash, thanks a lot for that. So that's something we'll need to keep an eye out on. We trust Yash to bring us up to speed with all developments as they happen. Now, let's talk about some important management commentary coming in. And this one is from ITC, where the Chairman and Managing Director Sanjeev Puri has said that rural consumption has done well. Urban consumption may take some time to recover, echoing sentiments of what Rohit Java had told to us from HUL last week itself. He spoke with Jude Sennett, and he commented on the growth of quick and e-commerce as well, as Kirana stores continue to play a strong role in consumption. Hear him out.
Rural is picking up, is better. Urban, I think, because some of the factors that we spoke about now, should aid the recovery in urban areas in the over some period of time. And of course, there is a lot of channel shift that's happening in India, and the channel shift is also giving rise to newer kinds of opportunities. These are all channels through which products are delivered to the consumer. Having said that, despite the fact that they've grown quite fast, the Kirana channel still remains the dominant channel and will remain the dominant channel in India, right? So that will remain an important channel. But I think each has a role to play. Each has a role to play.
They can coexist.
They can coexist.
Right, interesting comments coming in. Let's move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated the Madhya Pradesh Global Investor Summit in Bhopal earlier this morning, showcasing the vast investment potential in the state. The Prime Minister, citing global reports, has said that India will continue to be the fastest growing economy and that the state of Madhya Pradesh would be a key contributor to realizing the goal of a Vikasit Bharat by 2047 on the back of lucrative investment opportunities. Let's listen in to what he had to say.
पॉपुलेशन के हिसाब से भारत का 5th लार्जेस्ट स्टेट है। एमपी एग्रीकल्चर के मामले में भारत के टॉप के राज्यों में है। मिनरल्स के हिसाब से भी एमपी देश के टॉप 5 राज्यों में है। एमपी को जीवनदायिनी मां नर्मदा का आशीर्वाद भी प्राप्त है। एमपी में हर वो संभावना है, हर वो पोटेंशियल है जो एमपी को जीडीपी के हिसाब से भी देश के टॉप 5 राज्यों में ला सकता है। जिस एमपी में कभी खराब सड़कों के कारण बसें तक प्रॉपर नहीं चल पाती थी, वो आज भारत की ईवी रिवॉल्यूशन के लीडिंग स्टेट्स में से एक है। जनवरी 2025 तक करीब 2 लाख इलेक्ट्रिक व्हीकल एमपी में रजिस्टर हुए हैं। ये करीब 90% ग्रोथ है। ये दिखाता है कि एमपी आज मैन्युफैक्चरिंग के नए सेक्टर्स के लिए भी एक शानदार डेस्टिनेशन बनता जा रहा है।
All right, with that, we'll take a short break. Come back, get you more updates on the markets and business on the other side. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're watching us here on Business Lunch on CNBC-TV18. Let's get you updates coming in from the election in Germany. Results show that the centrist CDU-CSU will be the largest party with a 29% vote share and is likely to choose Friedrich Merz as the next Chancellor of Germany. What was notable in the election was the surge in support for the far right, with the AfD winning 21% of the total votes, which is double of the votes recorded in the last election. The Socialist Party also has suffered its worst result since 1887. And with that, let's move on. Let's talk about 8 workers who are still trapped after a 3-meter section of the roof of an under-construction stretch of the SLBC tunnel collapsed in Telangana on the 22nd of February. Rescue operations are being carried out by the NDRF and the State Disaster Relief Force and army personnel as well. The authorities say that the rescue operation will take at least 3 to 4 more days as the site is filled with debris and water. The authorities also say that chances of survival of the trapped workers is very remote. All right, it's grim news coming in from Telangana. Our prayers with those gentlemen trapped under the debris. And on that grim note, actually, what we'll do is we'll wrap up this edition of Business Lunch with the news of the market still holding with cut of 250 points. Midcap radar comes up next.